Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. I stand before you a sick man. Sick, but not as sick as the current state of Standard. Standard is in a state of emergency. In fact, Standard has been canceled by some individuals. Now, by this, I don't mean that Wizards of the Coast has come out and said they are canceling the Standard format. That will never happen for the entirety of Magic the Gathering because the Standard format is Wizards of the Coast's bread and butter. Yes, they do spread out into other things like Modern Horizons, the upcoming Commander stuff, which we will discuss. I had originally intended to discuss that today, but with what's going on with Standard and specifically mega retailers like Starcitygames. I mean, Starcitygames is one of the posts that holds the Magic tent up. This is not a small organization. They're actually not the only ones affected by what's going on. But overall, what's happening is Standard has been ruined to the point where Starcitygames has actually canceled Standard. They've gone ahead and said for their upcoming invitational, they are actually going to be getting rid of the Standard format and they're going to be bringing in the Pioneer format. So that's an exciting change for people who want to experiment with the Pioneer format. I have seen a number of people in different places talking about how they want to try Pioneer, trying to locate stores where they can play it, all this sort of thing. So there is some interest in Pioneer, but Pioneer also has a much wider range of cards. Now, there really is one card that's driving all of this. I'm going to give you a second to guess. Is there anything recently that's been causing problems in Standard that you could think of that would cause this sort of state of emergency? That actually, when it comes to the announcement that Starcitygames made, they specifically said they're doing this as an emergency maneuver. And I appreciate the honesty. I don't like what Wizards of the Coast does, where they, with the last banning announcement, they moved it ahead a month early and then just went, we're just rescheduling it. And it's like, you didn't reschedule it because originally the banning was scheduled for like November 18th, right? You moved it up to the date you were scheduled, you changed it to in October, and lo and behold, we have another banning coming November 18th or another ban and restricted announcement coming November 18th. So I appreciate the straightforward manner. Just be honest with us. It's not like we don't know that the Field of the Dead banning was an emergency banning. It's very, very obvious. So you've had time to think about what could possibly be impacting Standard right now in such a negative fashion. Oh, I don't know. Could it be Oko? Of course it's Oko. So Oko has made Standard into such a degenerately warped format now that Star City has gone, all right, we're throwing it out the door. We're not going to use this. Wizards of the Coast has said they're not going to do anything to fix any kind of formats until the 18th. Wizards may be just like, oh, please, somebody find a way to handle Oko. We admitted that we pushed Oko. I have a video where I talked about how Wizards admitted that Oko was a mistake. I'll link that at the end of this video in case you want to watch it, hear about them admitting specifically they know he's a mistake. Now, instead of stepping up and doing something about the mistake, they haven't even indicated to us that they're actually going to do something. All they've said is people going, are you going to ban Oko? Are you going to ban Oko? And they just go, the next ban date is November 18th. Now, some people are taking that to mean, oh, they're definitely going to ban Oko. But I don't actually know. Honestly, when it comes down to it, we've got a scenario where Starcitygames has gone, okay, this is busted and dumb. Oko is too dominant over the format. Standard is just patently unfun now. And just, to the point where they're just like, okay, just cancel it, rub it out, rub it out, that doesn't sound right. Cancel it, erase it, replace it with Pioneer. Now, I've seen posts from other shops as well that are hosting big, expensive tournaments. This is like a $50 entry fee tournament, putting out a notice going, due to flagging interest and things of that nature, they're dropping the price from $50 to $30 and issuing refunds. This is also showing in lowered F&M turnouts. Anything that involves Standard is showing lower and lower attendance. Now, this Oko situation is really bad for a number of reasons. One, Oko Oko itself is really, really powerful. He's too powerful. They messed up. They pushed the envelope and screwed up large. Again, the video at the end of this video will go into more detail about specifically what they've done wrong with Oko. But either way, suffice it to say, Oko is very, very, very strong. Now, Wizards has a couple of problems on their hand. One, they are not really interested in banning cards that have just come out. So if it's a card from a brand new set, they really don't want to ban it. They really, really don't want to ban it. Take a look at Hogak, for example. We had Hogak from Modern Horizons. He proved to be a massive, massive problem for the whole Modern format. And what did Wizards do? They didn't ban Hogak. People were crying out for a Hogak ban. Tons of articles were written about it. You will have high-level pros talking about all this crazy nonsense, and Wizards of the Coast just goes, well, I mean, it can't be Hogak. It's got to be something else. So they ban something else. They go, let's give Bridge from Below the boot. And lo and behold, what happens? Hogak still dominates. Now, why do they not want to ban new cards? The answer to that is really simple. It all comes down to pack sales, right? They want to keep selling you the packs. They don't want to ban the cards until after sales have had time to cool off, after they've already shipped all the boxes out to distributors, and it's not their problem anymore because they're like, well, we've sold it all. If these people can sell it or not our problem, sort of scenario. So Hogak took forever to get banned. Now, I don't know with Oko, like whether they're going to actually come down with the ban hammer right away at all. But if they do, I strongly suspect they're going to try and do a around the problem ban instead of the problem ban. And that's the exact same thing they did with Hogak, where instead of banning Hogak, they ban cards around the problem that help support the problem card because they don't want to ban the problem card because it's putting money in their pockets. So I suspect that when the Oko ban does hit, it's not going to actually ban Oko. To hit the deck, they're going to hit things like Gilded Goose and other cards around it. Now, they're going to want to avoid doing this as much as possible because most of the cards that are supporting Oko that are good targets, your Food Wolf, the Wicked Wolf, the Gilded Goose, and Oko are all Throne of Eldraine, which is the brand new set. Things are so bad with Oko. This is how bad things are. People are out there speculating that leak that happened with Theros, the whole, like, all these cards got shown, people are speculating that happened to distract people from Oko and Standard so that Wizards could maybe ban him and people would still stick around because they got hyped for Theros. Like, Oko has warped not only the Standard format, but people's perspective of Wizards' action. So we have multiple stores just going either, we're done with Standard, we're reducing the cost of our Standard events, we're not running as many Standard events, all these sort of negative impacts caused by Oko. And it's interesting to see because most of the time when we have something warping the format, especially in Standard, it tends to be a colorless card because it's something like Smuggler's Copter, which can go into virtually everybody's deck. But instead we have a scenario where Oko is warping the format so much that you're either playing an Oko deck or you're main boarding sideboard cards. Oko is so powerful in this scenario that he is causing people to main deck cards you would normally have in your sideboard. Like, for example, Noxious Grasp. Because answering Oko is so important that you can't wait for game 2 to do it. You need it right away. And on top of that, you're so likely to run into Oko that putting cards that normally should be relegated to your sideboard because they only affect particular colors all of a sudden becomes a viable strategy. Now, the markets, the market is an interesting place to look at in terms of getting an idea of how everybody feels about the bans, right? Because we look at Hogak, and Hogak was absolutely dominant in Modern Horizons. Absolutely dominant. But his price was so low. You could get Hogak for like $5, maybe $6, which is crazy low for a card that is dominating, like dominating a format, dominating Modern. I was about to say Standard. Sorry, my sick brain's a little But anyways, the fact is that Hogak was dominating Modern Horizons, but it was only like a $5 card. And the reason for that is everybody knew he was so busted that he had to be getting a ban coming. So all the retailers had to sell it low because no one was willing to pay. Hogak, if he wasn't under the threat of a ban, would have been like a $20 or $30 rare, bare minimum. I mean, he's from Modern Horizons. Modern Horizons is like $7 a pack, right? $7-8 a pack. So Hogak himself was less than the cost of a booster pack, which isn't something you see when you've got a highly demanded card. So obviously that reflects the fact that people were like, okay, like Hogak's good, but he's too good. He's going to get banned. We don't have that going on with Oko. There are so many people saying Oko needs to get banned. Oko is going to get banned. And it is having zero effect on his price. Zero effect on his price. Now, some of that can be attributed to the fact that Oko is so powerful that he's making waves in multiple formats. That's not a good sign that you haven't developed a card that's too powerful. I mean, if it's something niche that can fit into particular decks and makes its way into older formats, that's one thing. But Oko is really strong. Like, Oko is really strong. So the fact that he is in these older formats, and the fact that people aren't certain he's going to get a ban in Standard because you can't trust Wizards to do what's best for us for the format. You can only trust them to do what's best for their wallet. We're in an interesting situation where Wizards has to try and balance what they're doing here, right? They're not giving us any clue that Oko is going to get banned whatsoever because they may not intend to ban Oko. Oko is worth a ton of money, and that pushes Throne of Eldraine pack sales quite nicely. But Standard being ruined and people not playing Standard also has a negative impact on booster sales for all the sets in Standard. But what we don't know is where Wizards' comfort threshold is in how much they're willing to let Standard just go right down into an abyssal hole over the profit that they can make off of Throne of Eldraine, selling these packs, getting people like hooking in these Okos, right? And then on top of the fact that Oko is too strong, this is happening right on the heels of something else dominating Standard to the point where they had to issue a ban. Field of the Dead warped the meta so much that people were just like, okay, look, I can't play this. I don't want to deal with this. Wizards had to go ahead and go, okay, we're going to axe Fields of the Dead. We have to get rid of Fields of the Dead. So that was a few weeks ago. Like, was it even a few weeks ago? When was the banning? It was like 10 days ago, something like that. Like at most 2 weeks ago. So within the last 2 weeks. And now we're looking at another ban announcement creeping up on us in about 3 weeks from now. So that's like a little over a month, right? And they're going to have to do something. I can't see this ban and restricted announcement not doing anything. We're not dealing with, like, Standard is in a state of emergency. It really is. Because we've gone from one untenable situation to another. What normally should happen when a ban is issued is it restores balance to the Force. It restores, look at that, a Star Wars reference. You don't normally get those here because I'm not really a sci-fi guy. But anyways, a ban normally is supposed to bring balance to a format, right? Okay, Field of the Dead was running rampant, and now we've gotten rid of Fields of the Dead. The format has room to breathe. What multiple decks are going to rise up to create this new balanced format? Nope, not this time. That's not what happened. We went from a broken, warped format to a more broken and warped format to the point where there are literally people calling for Field of the Dead to get unbanned. They're like, unban Field of the Dead! It was the only thing saving us from Oko. It's like, there's a giant wolf terrorizing our village. Oh Lord, oh Lord. Oh no, there's another big wolf that's terrorizing our village after we got rid of that one. Go get the other wolves so the wolves can fight each other. It's like, it's absolutely insane. I have never seen a situation where Starcitygames, they're huge in the Magic world, comes out and goes, we've got an emergency situation. And they literally just grab Standard and throw it out like an unruly drunkard. Get out of here. They're saying, look, Wizards of the Coast isn't willing to do anything about this until next month at most. We don't even know what they're going to do because, there's going to be a banning. There has to be a banning. There's no way they can allow this to continue onwards. A double banning like this is really bad. 2 bannings back to back is bad for the mental state of Standard players. It's bad for belief in the stability of a format. The stability of a format mentally for people is important. Look at things like Frontier. Frontier collapsed. The original time they put out Brawl, it collapsed. Why? People didn't have faith in the format. Not enough interest, not enough faith in the format. So this is the same kind of scenario. If we have too many of these scenarios in a row, people's faith in the format, it's like, okay, you banned Field of the Dead. I just bought Field of the Dead last week. You told us Field of the Dead was going to be fine. Then 2 days after your banning announcement, you go, emergency banning, but not really an emergency banning because we rescheduled, so it doesn't count as an emergency. It's like, come on now. Come on now. So people get their Field of the Deads taken away from them and go, okay, well, I guess I'll move on to Oko now. So they go out and they buy their nice expensive Okos, and then Wizards comes along and hammers that deck down. And if every time you build a deck, you think that Wizards is going to come along and ban it, how much money are you going to be willing to spend on singles? And if you're not willing to spend that much on singles, that pushes the price of singles downwards. If the price of singles goes downwards, fewer booster packs are opened hunting for those singles, especially by singles resellers. So fewer booster packs. I almost said a word I shouldn't say in these videos. Anyways, fewer booster pack sales will basically obviously impact Wizards' bottom line. Fewer booster pack sales, fewer boxes sold, lesser demand. That's a bad time overall. So Wizards is now in this situation where honestly, they would just love it if they could just be like, oh, we'll just let the problem sort itself out. But it won't. So they have to come in with some bannings. So we're going to have 2 back-to-back bannings. And if Wizards does this wrong, if they do this wrong, and they don't, like, they're either going to have to nail Oko, which is going to create a gut feeling in all the people who have Okos and all that value. Now, Oko's value will stay up at a certain point still because of the demand for it in other formats, which actually works to Wizards' advantage because they run the real risk that if they ban around Oko and they do it wrong, that's even worse because then they'll still have to ban Oko. It's the same thing that happened with Hogak, right? They banned Bridge from Below going, this will stop the freight train that is Hogak, and yet Hogak will still be desirable and we can sell booster packs. And instead, they went, oh no, we messed up. We totally have to ban Hogak. Oh no, and we booted Bridge of Below out of the format too. We've just decreased our options of reprints for the format and things we can make money off of. In an attempt to make more money, we blew it. So we can have a similar situation here where they go, all right, we're going to nail the Gilded Goose and we're going to nail our Boreal Grazer so you can't easily get out a second turn Oko. And then they'll find out, ooh, wait, no, that's not enough. Does Oko have enough strength on his own that you can rebuild around him? I mean, there's crazy stuff like Nissa and the Hydroid Krasis that all coexist with him. There's so many good things that go together with Oko that cause a real problem for Wizards, where honestly, for me, the best path would be just ban Oko. I mean, it's a big hit because you're banning face front mythic for the set. You're banning like one of the key planeswalkers for the set. But at the same time, the value should hold to a degree because of demand in older formats. And the cards keeping their value will make the ban hurt less. If Wizards goes, okay, Oko's banned, but you can still turn around and sell your Okos for like $30. Sure, it's not the $60 you paid, but it's not like Oko went down to being a $4 mythic. And you're just going, ah, you know what I mean? That is a massive haircut to take on the value of your cards. And that stuff does impact players, right? As much as I want Magic to be affordable for people and I want card prices to be cheap, I completely understand the feeling of people where their value just evaporates. You put in your hard-earned money into the game and Wizards just Thanos snaps a bunch of it out of existence. That's not a good feeling. So Standard is in a state of emergency. You have unrest at LGSs. You have Starcitygames literally giving the format the boot. Just boom, gone. And you've got a scenario where Wizards has the unpalatable problem of having to figure out what to ban next on the heels of another ban. Like a month apart, they've had to nerf 2 powerful decks. They do not have their fingers on the pulse of what is too powerful in Standard, unfortunately, and we're seeing the repercussions of this. They pushed Oko, and now it's coming around to bite them. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. How much is this impacting you? I mean, I know from my other comments in like other videos and things like that, that Oko is a very hot button subject right now, which is one of the reasons that we're talking about it. Who knows what things are going to be like a few weeks from now. Here at the end of the video, I will have a link about Wizards admitting that Oko is too powerful, so that if you want to check that out, you can. Got the names of my patrons and channel members scrolling by. Thank you very much for supporting my channel, my friends. Appreciate it very much. I will see all of you tomorrow. And remember, no matter what happens with the game, state of emergency or not, together, we are the 6th color of magic.